I'm endorsing Jeremy because he's not just standing for Parliament. He stands for a set of principles that are very, very important. I can't remember when I first was aware of Jeremy. He's just kind of always been there at the anti-apartheid demonstrations, at the anti-poll tax demonstrations, at the miners' rallies. As long as I've been politically involved, which is since I've been a teenager, there's always been this fella in an anorak who would also be there and who would always speak up for people who were oppressed and marginalised in a very principled way. And that's what we need in Parliament, are people who will stand up for working people and who will stand up for the marginalised and who will, when necessary, not follow the party line, but follow the line of decency and morality and principle. And that's what he's always been. The consensus that's built up over the past 15 years has been one which has led to the pauperisation of large numbers of people, to food banks being just a regular feature of our lives. We had the 2008 economic crisis, and they made the poor pay for the crisis that the bankers created. They made the poor pay for that, and the poor are still paying for that. They've created a vile situation, both with their foreign policy and their domestic policy, where they bomb countries and destabilise them and terrorise people in those countries. And then when those people flee those countries and try to come here, effectively they try and build a wall to stop them coming. People say, well, we can't take in all the world's misery, but we've been responsible for a lot of the world's misery. And when Britain was doing that, Jeremy was saying, stop. Don't bomb Iraq. That won't work. Don't bomb Syria. That won't work. That what we need is peace and development, not war and famine and terror. Jeremy's one of the few people who has been speaking on the issues that create this crisis throughout that time. He's been a consistent voice.
It is a pretty big indictment on our Parliament that there's hardly any members here today to take part in what ought to be an incredibly serious discussion and a process of very serious self-criticism of the failure of...
In some ways, you could say it's appropriate that Jeremy is standing as independent, because he has always been independent. He was independent on the hostile environment that caused Windrush, and he voted against it. Just one of 6 Labour MPs that voted against it. He was independent when he voted against the welfare cuts. He was independent-minded when he voted against the Iraq war. He has always been an independently minded politician who has always put issues of principle and morality first, and those have guided the way that he has acted. So the fact that he stands as an independent, I think, is in many ways consistent with certainly his moral purpose. I think that Jeremy is a fundamentally decent, principled, engaged person who got into public service in order to serve the public. That in itself, sadly, is rare. And that's why I think people in Islington North should vote for Jeremy Corbyn as an independent.